please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And, you know, that's the expression, dog with a bone, right? Dog with a bone. That's what I would say the shill media are. The shill fan media are. And it's amazing to me that we live in a world with shill fan media. I mean, really. Then we have fan media, is kind of incredible. Then we have shill fan media. It blows my bloody mind. Anyway, you know, like a dog with a bone, that's what they've been with the Timeless Child. Now, why? Why are they so connected to it? Why are they so obsessed with it? Because they don't want to hear that they're wrong, right? They don't want to hear that it's pointless and irrelevant. Now, why don't they want to hear it's pointless and irrelevant? Because the entirety of the Jodie Whittaker era of Doctor Who was based on it, right? That it was predicated on it. It's defined it. It has really defined the era. I would say Orphan 55, or Can You Hear Me, defines the era far better than the Timeless Child. But it defines the era, and the era has been a massive failure. Now, in their worldview, that's impossible. All right? How can that be? How can it possibly be that it wasn't the bestest thing ever? How could it possibly be that it didn't work out? So it has to have worked out. Otherwise, the reality is wrong. I see a lot of things with people, people trying to deprogram other people, which is what I think we're really in. I talked about this in the last video I recorded. But you know, there's a lot that we learn about cults in the way the world is today, and the main thing about cult is they got to stay in a bubble, right? You can't break them out of that, and that's the way you break people out of cults, right? You break them out of cults by physically kidnapping them, right, and trying to talk to them and go over their worldview, right? And the more that you do that, the more it crumbles. Most people get themselves out of cults, so that's really the true statistics. But you know, I would say it's the same thing with the Jodie Whittaker era. It's been a breathtaking failure. It's been, I mean, really, it's been a breathtaking failure in every way, shape, or form. A shocking, stunning failure. Yeah, how much of a failure? Do I have the chart open here? Oh, there it is. Very good. That's the failure, right? And it's actually worse than that. I didn't even bother putting on Legend of the Sea Devils because I'd have to make a new chart because it doesn't go that low, right? That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. It's been a shocking, stunning failure, as has, look, essentially everything that people are in the, I don't know how you want to describe it, the progressive liberal bubble, the woke bubble, the establishment bubble. They're all the same thing, essentially. Everything they've done has been an absolute complete failure. And it's, and I found when people are confronted with that, it's very, very, very disturbing, right? They really, it's world destroying, right? They just can't cope with the complete and total failure that their worldviewers had, be it in politics or Doctor Who, right? I mean, like, from the big to the little, and yeah, and honestly, I love Doctor Who. It's a central part of my life, and it has been all my life, right? I really do love Doctor Who. It still, you know, pales into insignificance compared to, I don't know, you know, nuclear war, or you know, China becoming a world power. Gee, that's gonna be great, isn't it? I mean, and do you think, by the way, answer in the comments, okay, do you think that Joe Biden is planning on just like living out the rest of his life or whatever it is and his family in China, right? Do they think they're making a bolt hole in China where all their money can go? It seems something along those lines. They went to the Chinese and said, oh, I like the cut of your jib, sir. Anyway, so yeah, they can't cope with being wrong. And that's really, for them, the worst thing ever. The absolute worst thing ever is having to admit that they're wrong. Which, interestingly, I do the religious studying every day. I'm a bit of a Bible thumper. And I'm sure you know, I've said it many times, I really think this is the biblical end of days, right? This is everything that, this seems to be a realization of everything that was predicted. Now, part of that, which is supposed to be all over a year from now, right? And when I say all over, in a good way, we're also supposed to be happy in about a year from now, but with a significantly different worldview. But part of that, and I was going to say, is the advocates of this completely counter this completely false worldview will be forced to admit, right, that they were wrong, right? That seems to be miraculous, right? If that happens, that's absolutely crazy. But I guess that's what the inflation and the gas prices and the energy prices, generally speaking, that's really what's going on. But it seems like, from the religious writings, it will be somewhat more dramatic than that, right? So will they be able to cope with it? They can't cope with it with Doctor Who, let alone, international policy. So fine, before we get this article, like, share, subscribe, all those things are very, very good. Thank you very much. I am very grateful. I'm very grateful for everybody liking, sharing, subscribing. Genuinely so. Sharing is what YouTube likes nowadays. I like the subscribing, and man, they keep my subscriptions. You can really tell it's like throttled, right? I'm talking in my basement about Doctor Who. This doesn't seem like, works of sedition, but I guess it is, right? Like, share, subscribe, comment, sign up my Substack. I give out free stuff on there. Didn't do much this week. I had the week from hell this week. Didn't do much this week, but I am sending out one of the Virgin New Adventures today. I'm recording this on Friday, and I'll be putting out more stuff on the free one. You want to send me a couple of bucks, sign up to the paid one as well. That's $5 a month. I will not stop you. Right? I will not stop you in any way, shape, or form. Fine. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Let's get into this article. Why the Master hated the Timeless Child even more than the Doctor. You know who hated the Timeless Child more than both the Doctor and the Master? Doctor Who fans, generally speaking. Like, for me, this era of Doctor Who was irredeemably compromised, like just irredeemably destroyed by the time we got to Orphan 55, right? Having the Doctor be a clueless, cruel coward, it was just a problem for me. That having a vagina, I could have lived with. Being the clueless, cruel coward, not so much, right? Not so much. And I was really ready at the beginning of season 12 to say, maybe they've learned their mistakes, they're going to turn around. Look, they got the Master, they got all these... Oh, they didn't know that. But, we had... it looked like there were going to be more monsters and excitement this year in the second year. Maybe they learned the lesson, and I was ready to perhaps maybe they're going to pull it together. No. It got a lot worse, right? A lot worse. So those hopes were dashed by Orphan 55. And the Timeless Child was where fandom basically said, nope. They basically noped out of it, right? It's going to be forgotten and wiped away forever very soon. Assuming Ralph D. Davis isn't as bonkers as he sounds, right? He just wanted this big rant about the Conservatives. They are bastards and killers, which they are. I mean, in all fairness, I don't think I could argue against that. But they're all like that, aren't they? Aren't they all politicians? I mean, man, it was... most Republicans voted for the war in Ukraine. Nobody thought, wait, what? Because what I think is going on is it's a convenient way of transferring money from the American people, from the public coffers, into their own pockets, which is what I really think happens, right? Like, how did the withdrawal of Afghanistan happen? And it was just so terrible. Well, it might be connected to the Taliban awarding the chemical rights for Afghanistan to the Chinese, and then having those minerals and chemicals bought by the Americans for their green policy. It's always green policy that it hides behind, right? But I digress. Well, they're never going to let that go. They're going to be a dog with a bone with this, but they're being a dog with a bone with the Timeless Child. The Master was shaken to learn that the Doctor was the Timeless Child, and the classic TV series explains the depth of his anger against Gallifrey. Not really. And look, Sash Dhawan, a real actor, good actor. His performance as the Master didn't really work because it wasn't really like the Master, right? You know what it was like? What was that episode of South Park where it was something about the Walmart? It was Walmart. Walmart came to town and started destroying all the local businesses. Everybody was like completely tied to Walmart, right? And then at the center of it, they found the evil controller, right? And there's this great line where he takes a fake moustache off and he says, "Now you see me for what I really am." And it was like a real moustache twirling villain. That's kind of how Saturday One played it, which is okay. I mean, I don't know. I think he would have been a pretty good master if he had a decent, showrunner, but he didn't. And the classic explains the depth of his anger against Gallifrey. Pray tell, people who have no idea what the classic TV series is like. There are good reasons the Master was shaken when the Doctor, when he discovered the Doctor was the Timeless Child. How'd that happen? Right? How'd that happen? Because the Doctor couldn't work it out, and consistently we've seen the Doctor be more together than the Master, right? I mean, isn't that the plot of every John Pertwee Master story? Master has some dastardly plan, gets out of control, teams up with the Doctor to save the day, right? I mean, after realizing he's wrong, right? Literally every Master story fits into that. Yeah, then in the 80s, they got into like the weird gay fetish fantasy with Adric being all tied up in a I don't know, some kind of bondage fantasy. Adric was John Nathan Turner's masturbatory fantasy. Go back and watch State of Decay. Nothing looks like the cut scenes from gay porn. Not that I've watched much gay porn, right? I think I would go so far as to say any. It's what I imagine the cut scenes from gay porn to look like, right? Very much so. There are including the cheap production values. I wonder what the production values are in gay porn. I mean, it makes a lot of money. I guess it should reasonably be quite high. Maybe not. Would it? Okay, here's a question: would porn or gay porn make more money with higher production values? That's really the question. There's an argument to say the lower the better, but I don't know. Look, anything's better than talking about the Timeless Child, I guess. So there are good reasons why the Master was shaken by his discovery the Doctor was the Timeless Child. In Doctor Who, I always wanted to feel like, what's that? The end of the universe. God, so many bad lines. There's so many bad lines in one era. It's like, I know, I was going over with Sylvester McCoy era, and certainly his last two seasons were, I would say, 7 out of the 8 stories were all-time classics. That's a great. Remembrance of the Daleks, all-time classic. Happiness Patrol, I call it an all-time classic. I like Happiness Patrol a lot. I think it's aged very well. Can't wait for season 25 to come out on Blu-ray. Silver Nemesis, no, that wasn't. That was just a failure. And Greatest Show in the Galaxy, all-time classic, 3 out of 4. Then he got Battlefield. The special edition is actually quite watchable, right? It's surprising how much better it is. And you got G Marsh and the Brigadier. There's a lot in it that I like about Battlefield. All-time classic, no, right? And then you got Curse of Fenric, yes, classic. Survivor, I would say classic, and Ghostlight, I would say classic, right? So that's 75% classic ratio, and when they finally worked out what they're doing, I would say Jodah's got a 98% clunker ratio, wouldn't you? And they're just all so awful. Where are we taking that? Doctor Who season 12 saw Christian will launch the biggest retcon since 1969, the War Games. I don't know. I think Deadly Assassin may have been a big retcon as well. When the titles were first introduced, period. The Master's effort to raid the Gallifrey's ultimate repository of knowledge, the Matrix, has led to him to discover the long-buried secret by the Time Lords, and also not just the Master, but bits of rag on a amorphous planet where the TARDIS was, right, and Art Malik was. That was only those two people, right? Only those two people. Oh, and of course Carvanista and everybody else from the Division. And Dr. Ruth, only those few people, and basically, everybody else. So the Master led him to a long buried secret of the Time Lords, that the power of regeneration had been acquired from the Timeless Child, being potentially predating the universe itself. Potentially, could be. He successfully identified this Timeless Child as the Doctor. How? Doesn't matter. How did he go on to destroy Gallifrey? Doesn't matter. But then the Doctor did it as well with the, was it Death Particle? Whatever. it's all so badly written, right? All of it is so badly written. The master reaction was extreme, even by his standards. Well, not by this master's standards. This master's useless. I mean, I think the least efficient master, other than Sacha Dhawan, would be John Sim. Right? John Sim is just too bonkers to really do anything other than fight Rassilon, right? That was I quite liked his the denouement for the character in the Russell C. Davies' years, not ears. He committed a horrific act of genocide against his own people and destroyed Gallifrey. How do you do that? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay. Before going on to taunt the Doctor with hints of a true identity. Ew, you won't know what you are. Ooh. Okay, whatever. The Doctor was, I mean, honestly, if you're going to fundamentally change a character completely, why not just make a new character? I'm really reminded of the stories that Doug Naylor and Rob Grant had about making an American Red Dwarf. Which, by the way, it could have worked if they just followed it. It's basically Odd Couple in space. But they would always have a dinner and say, hey, the cat, about halfway through the dinner when things are going, we love it. We love Red Dwarf so much. Oh, we love it. We love it. And then about halfway through the dinner, they'll be like, hey, this cat doesn't need to be a cat. It could just be like a funky, interesting guy, like an alien or something. It doesn't need to be a cat. And it's like, well, okay, if you want. And then it will be like, eventually they'll be like, it doesn't need to be set in a spaceship. Maybe it could be a city. Maybe it could be present day. They're like, well, why do you want to buy it from us then? If you don't want to do if you don't want to do Red Dwarf. I felt the same way. Why do the Master if you're not going to do the Master? Now, I think Mrs. Incarnation of the Master was a great fusion, right? I think it's got bits of Ainley, bits of Delgado, bits of Sim. I think she blended those three things really, really well. Favorite Master still Derek Jacobi. His audio series is fantastic. Like, I just love him being evil. Like, all that evil and clever, which is what he is all the way through it. But yeah, like I think that Master, like the Missing Master, really exemplified what the Master was. This is just like, I'm a bad person. I mean, okay, bit weird, but okay. Before going on to talk the Doctor with hints of her true identity, the Doctor was understandably bewildered, as was most of the audience, because memories of the past had been forcibly erased, so she hadn't a clue what he was talking about. Nobody did, and it didn't make any sense, right? It just did not make any sense at all. If the Doctor had the memories removed, why didn't it show up in his like glittery timeliney thing at the end of the Matt Smith era, right? It doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it kind of sort of ties into Brain of Morbius if you're a moron and never seen it and don't know and can't think for yourself, right? It does kind of tie into that. Doctor was understandably bewildered, memories falsely erased. The truth was finally revealed when the Master took the Doctor into the Matrix in the ruins of Gallifrey and granted her the same visions that he had uncovered that led him to the truth. Yeah, the visions of Brendan. Oh, God, it was such a bad idea. And don't tell me that wasn't for people channel surfing to think it was Call the Midwife, another show that looked like the Brendan scenes. And so they'll stop for a minute or two to say, oh, what's going on in Call the Midwife? Is it earlier? I don't know. Before realizing it's Dr. Bloody Who. Why? Because if somebody watches it for over a minute, they get counted as a watch, right? They get counted to the ratings. Might have something to do with it. It's true. But Doctor Who Season 12 really explained why the Master... never really explained why the Master took the Timeless Child retcon so personally. Yes, because it can't do that, because it's written by Chris Chibnall, who not good at writing, right? Also, don't get me wrong, he's not really good at anything to do with show running, right? He's not really very good, I think is the answer. The key lies in the fact, as a Timeless Child, the Doctor has unlimited regenerations. And what a dumb idea! Oh, God, what a dumb idea. So, essentially, they're making the Doctor, everybody's a Doctor, right? And obviously, the reason behind it is so the Doctor is less white and less male. Because idiots like Chibnall think that they can anybody can only relate to somebody if they are the identical identity to them. If not, you cannot relate to them whatsoever. I can bring this example up a lot, right? A lot. Rising popular fan Don Martin? Yeah, not. I'm getting confused with Don Martin from Mad Magazine, right? Don Martin does great cosplay of white doctors brilliantly, right? How was he so inspired, right? How was he so inspired? And don't get me wrong, I'm sure he's excited, that Shooting Gatwa shares his skin color, right? But I don't think he ever needed that, right? I don't think anybody ever needed to be reflect them completely. And if you did, maybe Doctor Who isn't for you. Why? Because it sounds like you're a bit of a dummy. Doctor Who's normally skewed for a little bit cleverer people. Generally speaking, a little bit cleverer people. Cleverer than anybody who puts forward these insane identity politics. Whereas the titles were programmed with limited regeneration count. Hasn't the Master, blown that away completely right now? I mean, it was the Delgado Master was apparently the last one, wasn't he? Because he was desiccating by the time of Deadly Assassin, right? It was falling apart. All the post ones have been, taking over different bodies. The gummy worm slug thing or whatever. Time was a program with Chibnall's understanding of the Master is profoundly influenced by the classic series. Chibnall's understanding of anything isn't profoundly influenced by anything other than Chibnall wanting to get an applause, right? Which it's amazing. It's the one thing he's never got. Apparently influenced by classic series where the Master was motivated by fear of death almost above everything else. He burned through his regeneration swiftly, sacrificing them on disguises and in risky endeavors. Not really. I mean that's kind of how they put it in the Deadly Assassin, right, when it was falling apart, and wound up going into even more insane lengths to trying to extend his life. In Deadly Assassin, he was prepared to sacrifice his homeworld to gain more regenerations. He wanted access to the sash and the rod and the crown of Rassilon to do something. I can't remember what it was, but to extend his life. That was correct, right? He was prepared to sacrifice, and that was rip Gallifrey through that, or I can't even remember. He was motivated by fear of death in Keeper of Traken, and listen, I think Keeper of Traken has a great missing story that we never saw, right? I think it has a really, really great missing story where I think the Melkers are some kind of weeping angel, and he wanted to fuse his TARDIS with it for some reason. And he ended up being trapped there. Now that Jeffrey Beaver's Master, we've later come to find out is constantly in pain, right? Constantly burning up in pain. He was into escaping that. And willing to work for the Time Lords in terms for a new regeneration cycle in the Five Doctors. That's actually quite good, right? I quite like that. Chancellor Flevia. I love the little flick of his coattails he does before he sits down in the Five Doctors. Chancellor Flevia. I do love his Master. I believe we're getting a little bit more of it with John Culshaw doing it in the next Peter Davison. 40 Volume 2. Volume 1 was pretty darn good. I believe he's in it. He's really good in the only good thing to come out of Time Lord Victorious. I mean, really, the only good thing was a short trip, and there's two of them on one release. It's $4.99, and the one with the Alien Master is really good, and it's performed by John Culture. He so understands that role, right? The true length of Master's eagerness to escape death was revealed in Paul McGann 96 movie, TV movie, where he transformed himself into something far more than a mere Time Lord in an attempt to claim the Doctor's remaining regenerations. Yeah, Terrence Dix explained this in the out-of-print 8th Doctor book called the 8 Doctors, right? Where he infected himself. Yeah, he infected himself with this thing, this morphid, it was called, and then submitted himself to be killed by the Daleks in a plan to be able to take over his body by being like sort of gooey, sluggy thing, right? In an attempt to claim the Doctor's regenerations. And yeah, and then he found himself like floating in the time vortex. Which we Big Finish also has the Eric Roberts Master climb out every now and again. I do like the Eric Roberts Master. I think Eric Roberts Master is so much closer to the Master than the what's he called again? This one. Yeah. I just get a Shooty Gatwa. That's the only name in my head. Sasha Dewan. Oh, thank God for that. Yeah, this. I think it's so much more the Master than Sasha Dewan one. Fine. Given this is the case, the Master took the Timeless Child reveal on an even more personal, as a personal betrayal, because it meant the Time Lords actually programmed him with a lip. But he knew that, right? He knew he had a 12 regeneration limit. He did not believe he should possess, but he was offered a whole new life cycle. Right? No wonder the Master hated the Timeless Child even more than he did the Doctor. That still doesn't make sense, right? It's still, and that's basically the bottom line. They keep going over the Timeless Children, right? And it still doesn't make any sense, right? Doesn't make it any better. Who betrayed him? Like, who's this betrayal? The betrayal is, of course, compounded by the fact that the Master, compounded by the Doctor, the Master's greatest rival, does not possess these limits. Well, we don't know that, right? If he didn't possess the limits, why was he given a whole new life cycle at the end of Time of the Doctor for the Capaldi route? I don't know, right? The Master has always sought to prove himself greater than the Doctor. I think there was that rivalry going around the Ainley time. But post Time War, no, right? They're both. Everybody's just like, I don't know. It's just like it's crazy, right? But okay. But now is less than her in the thing that matters to him above all other things. She was alive for 1 billion years before he was born. I hate that. I just hate it. Why? Because it makes the Doctor boring, right? It makes the Doctor boring. As is everything of this era. It just makes it boring. And when his attempts to prolong his life have ultimately failed, she will still be there. Yeah, no, she's not. Again, it's gone. By the time Rusty Davis comes in, I think he's going to wipe it all away. I think his hatred of the Tory party will not stop him wiping this away, right? I don't think it will stop at all. So he initially believed, of course, Doctor Who Flux set up the Master's final battle with the 13th Doctor. Really? How? With the Avatar of Time itself. Another terrible idea. Warning the Doctor that there would be no regenerations, no regenerations this time. Really? Maybe that does mean she's going to just fade to white, right? Oh, please. Could this be the death of the Doctor? Yes. Yes, because then then we could just cut this era out altogether. Set up the final battle. Beware the forces that mass against you, Time told the Doctor. God, every time I read it, it's so bad. Time told the Doctor. Beware the forces that mass against you, Time told the Doctor. And their Master. It was so, it's just, it's so badly done, right? It's so badly done. And their Master. And that's really the hallmark of the entire Chibnall era. It's just unbelievably poor writing. That really is it. It's just the hallmark of the era. It seems the Master has moved on, aiming to find a way to kill the Timeless Child. And according to the Time, he has found a way to do so. Please, mate, I'm on board. The Master's focus has been killing the Doctor in a twisted kind of sense, in light of the Timeless Child retcon, simply because it is only by killing the unkillable that he will prove himself the Master of Death himself. And this is what you got to do to try and make anything Chris Chibnall make any sense. You've got to write reams and reams and reams of fan fiction, right? just insane fan fiction. And so the greatest villain in Doctor Who is determined to return and make the Doctor regret it. Yeah, I'm just obsessed with this thing, right? It just doesn't make any sense at all. To underline this fact, let's look at another article. So now, CBR.com, oh God, they're awful. Timeless Child makes a lot more sense as a spoiler. What's the spoiler? Okay. Doctor Who season 12 ends with a massive game changer, but what if the change of status of the status quo involved a different Time Lord? Okay, fine. This is just recapping it. Blah, 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 blah. Tecton then used the... Okay, fine. Blah, blah, blah. Well, the revolution shook the Doctor to her very core. What would happen if it had been the Master who was the Timeless Child instead? Now, that's what a lot of people said. Oh, that'll make more sense. That'll make more sense for him to be bonkers, right? Not only would the revelation shake up the Master worse than he already is, but we recontextualize his motivation for killing all the Time Lords and cyber-converting them into a new race known as the Cyber Masters. How? Okay, hi, please, tell me more. In some ways, the Master being the Timeless Child would have made more sense. Okay, fine. Again, trying to make sense out of this quagmire is not a good idea, right? Because it's just not possible. Especially the characters known for consistently to cheat death. Going as far back as Roger Delgado is, the Master has always had a good chance of being one step ahead of his enemies and even outsmarting them when they least expected. And yeah, I do want to just mention again, pretty much every Master story in the John Pertwee years were, oh, I will make an alliance with this super powerful being, and then I will gain his power. Then it went, oh no, it got out of control. Oh, Doctor, help me. Right? Every week that happened. Every story, not every week. As one of the more highly skilled strategists of Doctor Who franchise, the Master has always been able to resurrect himself when it should have been impossible to do so, because they just want to bring him back. It's not real, right? It's all made up. It's all pretend. Okay, whatever. The way the Master cheated death is countless. The first time he reached, deadly, flying, when we're just saying the whole thing. When he attempted to put still the Eye of Harmony, which, okay, fine. Thank you for reminding me. Keeper's Charkin, fine. Acquiring a new body, fine. Morphant, fine. I do like that bit of artwork. That's a really nice bit of Master artwork. I like that. The Master returned at home during the Time War with a new regeneration cycle, but temporarily disguised himself as Professor Yana using the Chameleon Arch. After regaining his memories, he was shot by his assistant and regenerated into Britain's Prime Minister, Howard Saxon. Yeah, both Saxon. He too was killed in this incarnation and avoided regeneration to torment the Doctor. But once again, fine, just recounting it. Okay, bringing the Master narrative full cycle, the Master in his current incarnation has learned that if the Master in the current incarnation learned he was the Timeless Child all along, when he hacked into Matrix and Gallifrey, this would have exacerbated his already existing anger issues. Yeah, I am. Okay, fine. So this article is essentially just rewriting this to make it make sense, right? And that's what you got to do to make it work, right? Yeah, Timeless Child is really great. How can we change it totally? This is what. Okay, I've worked it out. To make the Timeless Child work, you got to do what you did to Doctor Who to make the Timeless Child. You just got to completely change it. If you completely change it, it's not awful. They would exacerbate his already existing anger issues. Not only would he come to the realization that he originally had unlimited regeneration to start with, but he would have resented being exploited by the Shibugans to create the Time Lord race. No, there's not Shibuga. Oh God, it's just, you know what? It's really like Face of Evil. I love Face of Evil when they go into the Tess's ship and they see they have no idea what the computer screens are and what they for. They just worship them. Like, it's the same thing. They have no idea what Doctor Who is. They just like have little things they take out of content and like worship them. Unlimited regenerations. He especially would not have responded well to having his unlimited regenerations capped. Are you saying that's what happened to the Doctor? Okay, this alone would have motivated the Master to murder the entire Time Lord race. And so, yes, this is better motivation. I agree with you, right? Who wrote this? Yeah, up you go. It's this was written by Diane Darcy. Diane Darcy, you are a better writer than Chris Chibnall. It's not really saying much, is it? Right? It's not really saying much. That's like saying you're a better humanitarian than Himmler, right? It's not really saying much. Where is it? It's implied that the Master subsequently regenerated the Missy, who later seemingly killed by a cyber-converted deceased brigadier. What? What? Oh, yeah, fine. I skipped that. No, she wasn't killed, but whatever. Make more sense. He especially would have responded well. This alone would have motivated the Master to murder, and turn him into Cybermen, as both a way of regaining control of his own life and pay back for what was done to him. Just dumb. It's all just dumb, okay? All just dumb. But finally, the originator, Tana's child, actually has a word of wisdom to us, right? Actually has a better word of wisdom to us. Not to worry. Doctor Who showrunner expects Tana's child twist to be ignored. Let's just find the quote, right? The quote's funny. However, when Davis' public statement, it seems that Chibnall fully expects Davis to remove the timeless child. It's one of the few drama theories without a written Bible. Every era contains a contradiction or a left turn for what's going. No! No, it doesn't, you piece of shit! No, it doesn't, you lying cunt. Oh, he observed in a interview to the Radio Times. Certainly not Doctor Who magazine, who enjoys shitting over it any opportunity can. Any future weather will ignore it or run with it. I fully expect Russell to ignore it. God, he's so boring. He is so boring. Yeah, half human, right? That's the only half human on the mother's side. That's one of the few things, right? Unit dating and that. I think it's one of the few things that we can find much easier ways to retcon both those things. Why? Why? Because it wasn't written to tear apart the fabric of Doctor Who, right? It wasn't like, I mean, half human and mother's side was kind of dumb, right? But they said that's just for his incarnation, I think. I think that was the get out of jail free card with it. Oh, God. It's nearly over. The Chris Chibnall era, mercifully, thankfully, is nearly over. We have to go through the centenary special, and we're going to see so many member bearers. Like Star Trek Discovery is always at its worst when it's like riffing on classic Star Trek or connecting to traditional Star Trek. So too with the Chris Chibnall Doctor Who. And he riffs on it so much. Why is Tegan and Ace in it? To give it legitimacy, to legitimize it as Doctor Who. And isn't it enough? Why is Janet Fielding and Sophie Aldrin in it? To give themselves legitimacy, right? Like, say, look, we are real actresses. No, we're to give Jodie legitimacy. See, all these people, like Janet Fielding, has been very, very strident and vocal, saying, "Oh, only you backward-looking yokels don't accept her as a Doctor. We all want to move forward. I want to show you what moving forward doesn't look like, right? It doesn't look like that. We all want to move on. No, nobody wanted to move on. Everybody wants to ignore it, which is what's going to happen. The timeless child is on its way out, and it can't happen quickly enough. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.